Hello and welcome back to the Pulse with Willie and Al. How's it going today, bud?
Willie, living the dream, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, my man. I can't complain. Another crazy episode that we've got here. We're actually rocking out the 29th episode that we're putting together for the Pulse today. So
Woo.
I know it's kind of crazy, right? So this is episode number 29. Who is actually legit? But
Hard to
listen,
say these days.
it really is. We don't know. It changes week by week, I think. So, but listen, before we dive into any of these Week 14 NFL stories, I just want to remind you guys, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, like the video, drop us a comment, let us know what you think, let us know how great we look. We always appreciate the
Yeah.
compliments.
I just got a haircut yesterday, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Well,
And I'm currently drinking chocolate milk with Oreos in it out of a mug with a color changing spoon. So,
is it winter in
oh,
New England?
it's getting colder, but we haven't really gotten any snow. It's just rain.
Uh,
But it's getting cold at night.
okay.
So,
All right. Well,
yeah.
fair
Not
enough
enough to
then.
like put on pants, but someday.
Not that bad yet. So,
No,
but
no.
listen, without further ado, we've got some great storylines that we want to dive into today, not only in the NFL, but also in MLB free agency. I know there's some good stuff you want to talk about there.
Man.
Uh, yeah, there's going to be some fun stuff. I think we'll get you nice and fired up for that. But let's go ahead. We'll dive into these Sunday storylines that we've got. The first one for me that I saw, listen, Dallas established some serious dominance over a wounded Philly team. And I mean, now when you look at it, they're atop the NFC East with 4 weeks to go. They're right in the driver's seat. They're exactly where they want to be. And Dak looked the part, man. He looked good out there. What did you see out of him in the game the other day?
Yeah, so that game was over at the end of the first quarter. Dallas was up, I think, like 10-0 early, and they just that first quarter they just kicked the ever living shit out of Philly, and it wasn't even close. And then they just systematically broke them down piece by piece. Like, I mean, the fact that Philly only ran for 106 yards, that's not who they are. They're a team that runs the ball extremely well. They held DeAndre Swift to 39 yards. They didn't really sack Hurts. They only got one sack on him, and he didn't throw any picks, but man, they made his life a living hell for 4 quarters.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
every time I looked, it felt like Micah Parsons was just in the backfield.
yeah.
And
No, and
I don't
being
know how you
held
stop
too,
that.
right? He's being
Yeah.
like he's just like begging the ref, like, please call this. Don't you see this?
Yeah.
So kind of interesting. But you know what's wild to me, and like, so Dak has the fumble, right? And that was returned for a touchdown, which Jalen Carter is a superior athlete. I'll just say that. Like, he is not. I'm not in that category or even close. But
I'm
well,
not going to try to tackle Jalen Carter either.
no,
Nah,
no.
nah,
I'm not going to block him. I'm not going to try to tackle him. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to avoid him if I can.
no.
But listen,
Yeah.
before people start jumping all over me about that Dak fumble, the score was 24-6 when that happened. So, like, yes, it could have got the Eagles back in the game, but it didn't. And the big thing for me that really says a lot about this Dallas team, and obviously I'm listening to the post game press conferences and hearing what's going on in the locker room too. But the big thing for me, they had 6 drives that were almost 5 minutes, right? Okay, one of them was 4 minutes and 52 seconds, but
Yeah.
the Cowboys were good. They were milking drives off of Philly where it just was these, not extremely long, but long enough, brutal drives. It just you're overpowering them. And Philly is a very physical team. For them to get out physicaled by Dallas was just shocking to me. And I mean, they've been dominant on defense too. Like,
Well, like, so you look at their like drives in the second half that they had. They had 3 drives that were 9 plays, and 11 plays.
mhm,
Like they ate up 15 minutes of clock in the second half,
yeah,
over 15 minutes. Like that's. I will say the one thing that still is a little concerning with me with Dallas is for a team that's good, they settle for a lot of field goals.
yeah. And
And
can we talk
when you have a
about
big lead,
Aubrey?
yeah, when you have a big lead, that's
Uh-huh.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like when it's close, like you got to really score touchdowns to put people away, and so that might come back and haunt him. But Brandon Aubrey's a stud.
Dude, two 60-yard field goals, basically. Two more over
Yep.
50, like, or about 50, and two kickoffs that hit the field goal post. Like, this
Yeah.
dude's a beast, man. I couldn't believe
He's the
it.
new Justin Tucker. Like,
I mean, he's got a serious leg. I don't know. I'm eating crow today because I just went on my podcast on Sunday and said like, oh yeah, like Jalen Hurts, you got to start him this week because he's only had 1 week in the season where he hasn't been responsible for at least 2 touchdowns. And sure enough, like this is what happens, right? Like it just,
well,
it's
ask and you shall receive.
I know. So, but let me ask you, where does Philly go from here? Because this is not where they want to be, and I'm not sure that they're a good enough football team to overtake Dallas at this point. Dallas seems like they're in the driver's seat, and the playoffs are going to go through either Dallas or San Francisco going forward.
Respectfully, their schedule, Philly's schedule, the rest of the way is cake.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
they have to play Seattle. I think they have to go to Seattle, and that's not easy playing up there.
yeah, Seattle's kind of in a free fall right now. So
Yeah.
like, and like Gino being hurt, like I think Drew Lock might play. So like,
Yeah.
and then they still have the Giants twice, which the Giants are still kind of weirdly in the playoff hunt, especially after beating Green Bay. So I mean,
Are
they
they
should win those
really?
though.
Like, are they? The
Yeah,
Giants?
no, they're still they're not mathematically eliminated.
Man, that's
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy to me.
And then they have the Cardinals. So those are
Yeah.
they should
Yep.
win those 4 games.
They should.
Um,
Yeah.
Dallas, though, that's a different story. And their schedule is a nightmare. They still have, if I remember correctly, they still have, I think, the Dolphins. They have the Dolphins, Bills, Lions, and Commanders.
Yeah, not a cakewalk for them at all. So it may be 1 week that
No.
they spend up top, but
And 3 of those last 4 games are on the road, too.
yeah, that does not feel good. They've been very dominant at home, not as
Yeah.
great on the road, but still good. Man, it's going to be interesting watching both of them because I'm very excited about both of those teams come playoff time, and one of them is going to go on the road for the first week, and I cannot wait to see how, what team draws them because if it's like Atlanta or Tampa Bay or New Orleans drawing them at home, that's like an unfair unfair matchup in the first week of the playoffs. So, but
There is a lot to be concerned about with Philly, though. That
yeah.
being said, I know they have an easy schedule, but that defense is just they just look tired. They are a team that has, I feel like, played from behind every week this year, and I think that's finally starting to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And they have all this talent, but like respectfully, they're getting exposed. Like
Yeah, the
teams
back
have
end.
kind of figured them out.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
right, man. Well, talk about team that definitely seemed to have gotten figured out. This is one I know we want to talk about. Kansas City losing to Buffalo. Like, is this really a surprise? Like, I'm reading all these articles. Oh, it's such a big shot. Is it really?
No.
I mean, not for
No,
me
because
either.
the Bills had a bye. And so they got to like they came in like as healthy as they possibly could have been, with all the people they've lost on defense. But they had 2 weeks to prepare for this, and I honestly think that like they just punched Kansas City in the mouth, and like Kansas City, like again, just they don't have any receivers. Like also Kadarius Toney, like just line up behind the ball. Like if you're a wide receiver, you just look at the line, look down the line, and if you are in front of that ball, take a step back and just be behind the ball. Like it's not that difficult. It's not.
It was their best play of the season, and I don't even think
Yeah.
it was close. I don't even think there's a second one that's close, and it didn't happen. That's the craziest part. Like Travis Kelce made an unbelievable heads-up throw to like lateral on that to Tony. And I don't know, for it to get called back. I know we had discussed a little bit about this, but almost, and I hate to say this because it sounds like sanctimonious to say, but I'm a little disappointed in Patrick Mahomes. Not only for like the sideline rant, to the officials and stuff, and him, he's a grown man. He can use foul language on the sideline. I get that. It's not a good look for the NFL. It's not a good look for kids. But the issue that I have even more than that was the conversation he had in the center of the field with Josh Allen.
Yeah, he didn't congratulate Josh Allen. He just like kept talking about the refs, and like if you're Josh Allen, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
and
really,
I'm not a Josh Allen fan. I'm not. Like,
yeah.
respectfully, fuck Buffalo. But like I would be mad. Like Josh Allen played well enough to like win that game, and I don't know, man. Like that was a big win for them, and like the fact that Mahomes couldn't even like take the 2 seconds to like congratulate him.
Dude, he crushed his ice cream
Like,
cone. Pisses me off.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it just not a good look, right? And I think it just says like after the game Patrick Mahomes gets to see the replay, Andy Reid sees it, and then they still went out there and pretended like he wasn't offsides and it was BS that they called the offside. I don't know. It's a bad look for
yeah.
that team.
Also, the Mahomes press conference after I didn't love because what he essentially said was like that he never gets the benefit of the doubt on calls, and that is incredibly short-sighted of him, considering that if let's walk this back, AFC title game last year.
Yeah.
How'd that end? On a really questionable late hit call as he's running out of bounds.
Yep. Otherwise,
Okay?
Cincinnati's in that Super Bowl.
Yep. That gets you to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then kind of ticky-tack pass interference call, which hadn't been called all game on either side. Like the refs had let them play for 57 minutes of that game.
Yep.
And it came down to a really questionable call. So for Mahomes to be like, hey, I'm not getting the benefit of the doubt on those calls is honestly, excuse my language, is horseshit.
Yeah.
It is. Like,
it really is. Well, listen, we're going to see. I don't want to jump into this next bit yet because there's some stuff when we break down the game for this week that I want to talk about with it. So I'll skip over that for a minute. But what about Baltimore getting exposed by the Rams? Because, yes, okay, they win in overtime. But I think when you look at it now, okay, there's not many teams that have Kupp, Nakua, and Stafford on him in terms of that type of talent on offense. But I think teams are going to start to take notice of how the Rams played against them because what the Rams did worked. And I just, as you're watching it, what did you see that allowed them to do this? Because this is, last week I was just saying Baltimore had given up the least amount of points of any other defense in the league. They're no longer the leader for that. So what did you see from them?
First of all, I'm going to say a thing. The Rams, I think, are better than we give them credit for.
Definitely. Kyren Williams is a dude, too. He definitely is.
They're very much in the hunt for that 7 seed in the NFC. And they very well could get that 7 seed. And the Rams have been weirdly playing teams tough. If you think about it, they are always the Achilles heel for the 49ers. They play that team also really tough. And the 49ers and the Ravens are built pretty. They're a lot of the same team. So it didn't really shock me that the Rams played them tough, the Ravens tough. But there were some things that I saw today or in that game that were just kind of appalling, which I didn't love for them. That's that weird safety.
Yeah,
that was weird.
So
that was a weird play.
It was a heads-up play by Lamar, but I still felt unsatisfied after, right? I still felt really? Okay. Well, I guess that's one of the options of what could have happened. I mean, it just, okay, I know, like I said, I know it was a heads-up play, but I just didn't feel good afterwards about that.
Also, the thing with the Ravens is they have blown some games in the second half this year, and they've taken some questionable losses. And they're a team that like if you can just hang around with them, they go cold in the second half. And like Sunday was kind of it wasn't so much that it would kind of turn into a shootout, but like a lot of times, like you can hang with them, like
Yeah,
you can.
absolutely. Absolutely, man. Like Baltimore's just not a team that I trust. Like I know they play very good defense, but I just don't trust this offense at all. Like Mark Andrews was a piece, a cornerstone of this offense, and with him going out, I I would not be betting on them in games. I could easily see Baltimore go into the playoffs, lose in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, granted, they're the number one seed right now, and I get that, but
Yeah,
I could see them playing in that not the conference round, but the divisional round, and losing that first game to a team that's
yeah.
hungry that comes in and plays them well. It just I could see Denver going and beating them. I could see
Well,
that.
I think it's that kind of speaks louder to the AFC this year. Where like there isn't a single team that I trust. Like I thought I could trust the Dolphins for a minute, but them the way they blew that game last night against Tennessee, like
Yeah,
that's alarming. And I already didn't trust them anyway because I didn't trust them to win big games, and they haven't.
yeah.
I don't trust Kansas City. If Lawrence is hurt, I don't trust Jacksonville.
No, Houston. I mean, they've got
Cle-
Stroud hurt
Cleveland, I
now.
don't trust.
Yeah,
Like they got rid of Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was their best quarterback they've had this
yeah. I
year.
don't know what decisions they were making there. I mean,
Yeah,
tell me he said something outlandish to the ownership and they were like, we're moving on from this guy. But like, Joe
yeah.
Flacco was definitely the best guy you had there. Much better than PJ Walker and much better than DTR. I just,
I don't trust the Steelers at this point,
no.
especially with Mitch Trubisky,
Yep.
because the Patriots beat them, and that's all you need to know about that. Um, I don't trust the Texans really. They're kind of in a weird free fall, and them losing Tank Dell was
Well,
also
Stroud's
really
banged up
hurtful.
too. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it just does not look good.
respectfully to your Colts, like Gardner Minshew is only going to take you so far.
Right.
I Denver, I like Cincinnati. I don't trust any of these teams. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
I know.
Like
It's wild.
you could pull a name out of a hat and tell me they're going to be the ones representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'd be like, okay,
All
sure,
right.
sounds good.
Yep.
Like they'll figure it out somehow, and yeah,
Well, I know. Well, I mean, you would just mention some of those teams, but like the AFC South and the NFC South, I'm just like, what is happening there? Houston,
can we
Jacksonville,
just
and
abolish
Indy,
the
they all lost this week, but like, I don't know. Like, maybe Houston has the worst with like the potential of CJ Stroud being out. Like, the crazy thing
that
is, it's going to be awesome the next 4 weeks. I know it's
yeah
going to be, but I mean, who do you see winning the AFC South? Maybe the
that Tank
Jags?
Dell injury really hurt them
It
more
did.
than I think people. I thought they could still bounce back from that, but with CJ Stroud hurt too, like that, the Texans are just playing. They're just on borrowed time, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that's no
that's
fault of their own. They've already won 7 games this year. That's 5 more than I thought they were going to win. Like respectfully, like it's a good story, but I don't think it's sustainable for them.
mhm.
That being said, like I don't I guess the Colts just because like they still seem to have the most healthy weapons left.
Yeah.
Like they still have Jonathan Taylor. Like yeah,
I mean, he's out right now, but still, like you're right. Like they're playing, it seems like the most consistently out of those teams. But I could still see Tennessee coming in now, and like I even talked about it earlier, like 2 days ago. Tennessee loves to play spoiler, especially at the end of the season. Mike Vrabel's a good
Will
coach,
Levis
man.
is a decent quarterback. I hate to say it, he's
Uh,
not bad,
yeah, it
and
just
I don't.
he's not good when he just should be. He's good when like you don't expect him to be.
Well, he's still young too.
Yeah, he
I think he's a
is.
rookie.
He is. He is. It's been a long season, so but
Yeah, no, he's a rookie. But also, I don't trust anybody that puts mayonnaise in their fucking coffee.
yep, I mean,
That's That's some
Disgusting.
psychopath behavior.
Yeah, it is. It
That
is.
that's a psychopath.
Yep.
But
Um, yeah. Well, let's talk about the NFC South. So Tampa Bay's leading that division now. But Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and New Orleans are all 6-7. Like, are you changing your opinion on the winner of this division finishing sub 500 or?
here's what I propose.
Yeah.
We take that playoff spot that the NFC South would get
Yep.
and we auction it off to another team.
I think that's
A
brilliant.
team that is more deserving. Because
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be amazing. We need to do that.
God, Lee.
Yeah.
You could tell me that any of those teams are going to win that division, and I'd be like, all right, I suppose.
I'll
I'm
tell
like,
you
I
if
don't want to watch
if
any of them.
if Tampa Bay wins that division, I could actually see that team beat a team in the wild card round. I think they could beat somebody. I don't know who, but I think they could beat somebody.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think that 5 seed, they're going to be the 4 seed probably. And that
yep.
5 seed, I think, is either going to be Dallas or Philadelphia. I don't know about that, man.
Well,
I
you
don't
got one
know.
more too, so it could be it could be the Rams. I don't know. Uh,
I think the
maybe.
Rams will sneak in for the 7th if they're going to get in.
Yeah,
Um, but
man.
you know that the winner of the NFC South, they're going to get that shitty Saturday 1 p.m. playoff spot. That
Yeah.
like you're watching, but like you're not really rushing home to get to because you're like, well, I got to go run some errands.
And then you
I'll
turn
maybe
it
catch
on
this
and
at halftime.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
10-7 and you're like, "Oh, man, like this game's
Yeah, it's
close."
10-7 in the third quarter, and you're like, boy, you know what? I'm just gonna go take a nap and wait for the other
Yeah,
games.
why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Man. Well, it's going to be interesting for that. I know we had a few that we wanted to chop up there, but let's get into our game of the week, man. We got Denver at Detroit this week. Now Detroit's getting 4 and the over/under's
A,
46 and a
a
half.
weird,
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
weirdly big game
Ye-
that like I wouldn't have said like 6 weeks ago.
Dude, I can't wait to dive into this. And listen, big implications on both sides. Denver's trying to catch Kansas City. Detroit's trying to stave off disaster, like trying to keep their head above water with Minnesota and Green Bay, though it seems like both of them are no longer threats. Though Minnesota's very good at winning games 3-0, which that boggles my mind. But
I had a friend that was at that game live.
oh, oh,
Like she went to my friend Becca, she went to Vegas with her husband,
hmm
and they just like were taking a vacation, and they're big Pats fans, so she was like, oh, let's just go to this game. It's we've never been to the stadium, and I felt bad for her.
yeah.
I genuinely felt bad that like she paid real money to go watch that football game.
Yeah, that's awful. I can't remember the last time there was a 3-0 football game in 20 years. Like, uh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it's awful.
It's really bad. But listen, Denver is a team I want to talk about. And I just want to wrap up kind of like what we had talked about with Kansas City before, because one thing that's really surprising about Kansas City, is that they're one game ahead of the Broncos right now. Like, and don't forget, they split games with them earlier. So
And Denver's schedule is cake the rest
it
of the way
is.
after Detroit.
Dude,
It's New England, it's the Chargers with probably no Justin Herbert, and then
yep,
the Raiders,
yep,
who just lost a game 3-0.
yeah.
So
Dude, Denver's 7-6. They started out 1-5. They've won six
yeah,
of their last 7 games. They've played 2 of the best months of football of any team. And yes, this was the team that gave up 70 points in week 3. I mean, but did you know this? And this is something that I think is going to be kind of interesting. They gave up 70 points in week 3 this year, a ridiculous amount in one game. The
oh yeah,
Seahawks, the Eagles, Lions, and Colts have all given up more points on the season than the Broncos.
that's insane.
Insane, man. And like you had just mentioned their remaining games. I think it's good for them. Like I hate to say it, Denver's a playoff team, and they are a team that I trust. And I know
And the
that
only
sounds
game,
bad,
yeah,
but like we stopped talking about Russell Wilson. We haven't heard anything about him, nothing about Sean Payton over the last month and a half. They've shut up and they've played football. And Sean Payton has this team revving now. Like,
Yeah, they have won 6 of 7, and the one game they lost, like they played Houston really tough,
Yep.
and Wilson threw an end zone interception at the end of the game. Like
Yeah.
they were driving to win that
And
game.
it wasn't a
Like
bad Russell Wilson pick. It was an
no,
amazing catch by Houston, like by Stingley, I think it was. It wasn't Stingley.
Mhm.
Stingley caught the one
no,
earlier than
Stingley had
that.
the other one in that
Yep,
fourth
yep,
quarter.
you're
Yeah,
right. But still pretty impressive that like he's looked not amazing, not the Russell Wilson we're used to seeing, but this team has been very good. They've shut out the noise and just said, "Listen, we're going to go out and play." The defense has been really solid. Um, yeah, man. Like it's I have a hard time not wanting to pick Denver in this game. Like I look at Detroit, man,
Detroit's
and
a mess.
yeah, this is the interesting part. So the eye test is much worse than their record. It really is.
Yeah,
It
the
looks
Bears
bad.
stomped them. The Bears stomped them on
Dude,
Sunday.
it wasn't just this game. The Bears stomped them last game too, and Jared Goff was lucky. Remember that? There was like two
Yeah,
minutes left, and he scores 2 touchdowns. Like what? They should have never won that game. I mean, and they're starting.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, since that Raiders game,
Yeah.
and they had the bye week, they have like fucked around, and like the eye test isn't good. Like
No.
real quick, they eked out one against the Chargers, which was a
Yeah.
shootout, which they had no business. Like
Right.
that game was just weird.
Wasn't that a Brandon
That
Staley
weird,
fourth down in our own territory game too?
it sure was.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yep.
The Bears, which they were down 14 with 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Then Green Bay, like I know that score says they only lost by 7, but Green Bay was housing them that
Yeah.
first half.
They
That
stomped
Thanksgiving
them.
Day.
They stomped them, man.
New Orleans like kept punching them in the mouth, and they just happened to like come back. And then the Bears just like kicked the shit out of them on Sunday. Like they made Fields look like a good quarterback.
Yeah, and like man, I really hope Fields is in Atlanta next year. And I know it's a new system, but like I think he'd have a better chance to like start over again there. I think that would be the best shot for him. But anyhow, with these lines, it's not all doom and gloom. Like when you think about it, like Goff can't play much worse, right? Like we've already seen the 3 fumble game from him. We've seen the 3 interception game from him this year. It's not likely to happen again. But don't mess around with Patrick Surtain. Don't do it. Uh,
No.
he'll get those balls. He's a very very good cornerback, arguably the best in the league. So I don't know. This team, they've got a good offensive line. They run the ball well, and the defense is going to get C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, which they desperately need, man. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, Al. Go ahead and look into that crystal ball. What happens over the next month for Detroit?
Their schedule, first of all, like I know we talk a lot about like upcoming schedules, but like their schedule isn't really a cakewalk. They still have Denver. They still have to play Dallas at
Yeah.
home,
Yep.
or like in Dallas, and then they still have the Vikings twice, which that could be a crapshoot either way. I mean, if you look at it on one hand, they did just shut out the Raiders. You know, they did only score 3 points, sure, but they did shut out the Raiders. So like that tells me that they have a good defense.
Yeah.
So their last month of the season isn't a cakewalk, and because to me, I've watched the Lions in my entire adult life and as a kid fuck things up. I see them messing this up somehow.
The
Like I don't
same
know how.
old Lions.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, man. I'm hoping they can get some of these issues fixed and hit the playoffs strong. I want the citizens of Detroit to have a football team to be proud of in the playoffs. I really do. I hope they're able to do it, but it has not looked good over the last month. It just
And
hasn't.
the thing is, the Vikings are 2 games back, and they still have to play the Vikings twice.
Yeah,
So
that does not feel good. What,
if the Vikings can get competent quarterback play from somebody,
I
they
mean,
could catch
Dobbs got
Detroit.
benched now. I don't even know, man. Jefferson got hurt again. They just, ugh,
Yeah.
it does not look good there, man. So let me ask you, who do you have in this game?
I think it's Denver. I think this is going to be a low scoring affair.
Yep,
I think this is going to be a really ugly game,
yep.
as is most Thursday night games.
Okay.
Uh, I think that Denver's going to do just enough because that's
Mhm.
kind of what Denver's been doing. They do just enough, and they're going to find a way to eke this out. And I think it's going to be something weird, like it's going to be like a weird score too. It's going to be like 1917, like Denver. Like it's just going to be something really weird.
Yeah. I've got Denver winning 24-17 because I think the same thing, but it's so funny because both of us are so off in terms of the over under. The over under is 46
Um,
and a half. But again, Thursday night game, like you said, I just don't see it happening. Right?
my apologies. This is actually a Saturday game.
Really?
We get some
Ah, yeah,
Saturday
that's right.
football. Let's
That's right.
go.
Dude, I'm so tripped up because when I look at the schedule and I see it on the top, I'm like, oh, yeah, we got that. But yeah, Saturday game, like, dude, that's
I
awesome.
think we have a couple.
Yeah,
Actually,
there's
I think if I
three,
remember
right?
correctly, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
that's gonna be awesome.
fucking the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep, definitely does. So, well, let's
Oh,
talk about one gift that is very, very big under the tree this year for a guy that you know. In Major League Baseball free agency, Otani got the bag, bro.
first of all, if I knew him, I think you and I would not be sitting here right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's be honest.
Right.
Let's
Right.
be honest. I wish I knew him. He
Yep.
seems like a cool dude. But
I heard he was going to sign with
uh,
Boston, and then all of a sudden LA came in right at the end.
yeah.
So.
Well, actually, not the Boston thing, but Toronto actually was like really close and had actually, from what I've been reading, like they matched the contract. But I think he just wanted
Yeah.
to play in LA for a team, like a better team.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I get that. I feel so bad because there was like a 12-hour window where everybody. All right, so I'm gonna break this down for you because Friday was absolutely crazy. So like what happens is like some people online, because you can track flights anywhere,
Yep.
and somebody had saw that it was there was a flight going from LA to Toronto, a private flight. So everybody and their mother was like, "Wait, Shohei's going to Toronto? What?" And like because it had been kind of known that Toronto was in the mix,
Yep.
um, but then it turns out, and this is the best part of why the story is so great. Do you know who actually booked that flight?
The
One of the guys
Dodgers.
from Shark Tank.
Oh my goodness.
He just happened to be. He had to go to Toronto for stuff. That's it.
That's so
That's the
cool.
whole. Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
cool.
And so Toronto Blue
Uh,
Jays fans for like 8 hours were like, "Hey, we're gonna sign Shohei," and I was like, "No, I
uh,
don't think that's gonna happen." And then it came out, Jeff Passan, as per usual, was like, "Hey, it's the Dodgers." And then like there was like this weird like disconnect for a couple minutes, and then the number came out, and gee, like I
yeah.
knew he was going to get paid, but to actually see it in writing that somebody got a $700 million contract
That's
is,
insane.
yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on? Because I know
Well,
you would have hoped he would have gone to Atlanta, just
oh
like
yeah.
I would have hoped he would have gone to Boston.
Listen, Atlanta, it doesn't have the market to support a guy like that. They just don't. And listen, I would have loved him on my team. I think he's an incredible player. I think he's a great ambassador for the game too, and the way he kind of approaches it. Do I think he's worth it? Yeah, we're gonna find out, right? Like we definitely will,
Can you
but
imagine a lineup that would have been Matt Olson, Acuna, and Otani? Can you just? I want you to
no.
think about that
Yeah,
for a
I
minute of what
listen.
could have been.
Listen, I blinked quick and I got it out of my mind. So it's yeah, I don't want to like that's crazy. Like I really hope like the hard part is now I'm going to have to root against him and I don't want to do that necessarily because I think the Dodgers are stacked now. I really think they are. But one
They
interesting
still have
thing
no pitching.
yeah, one interesting thing that I saw on Twitter was that, or I'm sorry, X, was that he's going to make more this upcoming season, like before taxes, than 8 Major League Baseball team payrolls. Their entire payroll. That's
So,
insane, dude.
so this is where I'm gonna, if you let me for a minute, I'm gonna go on a rant because this is the part that really frustrates me.
Yep.
that's not entirely true. So
Right.
it's come out recently that Shohei Ohtani is only going to make $2 million a year, and that 680 million of his $700 million contract is going to get deferred until after that contract is over with,
Mm-hmm.
which
Take a
is
deep breath.
fucking horseshit. It's horseshit. I'm so sorry. That is like we all know he wasn't going to go to a small market. I get that and I understand that, but like, and I understand that there's nothing in the CBA that prevents that from happening, but like that just seems like a competitive unfair advantage. And look, I root for a team that plays in a huge market, so I get it. I get it. Like and
You're not
if
going
the
to like
shoe
what
had been
I'm
on the
going to
other
say.
foot, if the shoe had been on the other foot and Boston had done the same thing, I'd have been like,
All
it's
right.
not the CBA. Like,
Yeah.
so I get that I'm being a hypocrite here. I get that, but like that's
Yeah.
also like what's so the Dodgers can essentially just keep like punting and never having to really pay guys.
Yeah.
And they can just keep building a super team, which like great. But like that just rubbed me the wrong way. And that's not Ohtani's fault.
No.
That's Ohtani was very clear about like, hey, I don't want my contract to be like an albatross on a team.
Right.
So I respect that, but like Jesus, that's frustrating. And
Yeah.
I would imagine in the next CBA, that's gonna get fixed.
Yeah. I mean, two things. So first of all, the Dodgers are going to make a couple billion off of him over the next
Yeah.
10 years, so that's going to be nothing for them to pay him at that time. My concern is what is 700 million going to be worth in 10 years? It's not 700 million today. So
Yeah.
that could have some changes, but I find it a little bit hypocritical. And the only reason I say that is because I remember a guy that used to play for the Patriots that should have probably been a 30 or 40 million dollar a year quarterback and was getting paid
Mm-hmm.
1 million in 1 year.
Yep.
So
No,
I mean it just
like I said, I get it.
I'm just
I
giving you a hard
get it.
time about it. But like
Yeah, no.
it's ridiculous. That is FU money. I think that's what they call it, right? Like
That is for sure fuck you money.
Yes, yes. He could yeah. That's a lot of money. And does this reset the market? That's what I kind of want to know. Like, do you think this is
No.
going to reset the market, or is he the unicorn? Is he just the one like
He's the unicorn. Him and Trout have been the unicorn for a while.
Mhm.
Betts got a number that was in the ballpark of Trout, but like if you look at it, like Corey Seager, like really good player, got like 300 and change. Like it's just like you're not going to see anybody ever get that again. That doesn't reset the market. Ohtani just cashed in at the perfect time, and he's also a unicorn.
Yeah.
Like the NFL, that's different. Like when Mahomes got that contract, like that reset the market.
Right.
And, like you see it now with like guys' annual salaries. Like, and it's going to lead into the trivia question that I have for today. But there's one guy that's currently making $55 million a year.
Ooh, yeah.
In the NFL, like so because of Mahomes, that the market got reset for quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
What Ohtani's doing, there aren't people like him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not resetting the market. He just is so goddamn good at everything he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. So, now let's talk about some other free agency rumblings that we've got. So Soto getting traded, like that's not even a rumbling. That's like an avalanche. So talk about that. Like, let's unpack that a little bit. Find out what's going on with that trade.
It's the most Yankees move ever. They thinking that they just need more hitting, which they do. Their offense was anemic besides Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
They also traded for Alex Verdugo.
I saw that,
which is fucking hilarious. And yeah, them trading for Soto is a really Yankees move because it addresses some problems. Like Soto's going to hit 1 million home runs with that short porch at Yankee Stadium. Like he is just going to hit dingers left and right.
Yep.
That being said, and this is kind of my issue with the Dodgers as well, is like they still don't have any starting pitching. The Yankees. They have Garrett Cole, which is your reigning Cy Young winner.
Yep.
Great dude, great player, but like
what around him?
After that, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
It's not Nestor Cortez. That guy couldn't stay healthy to save his life this year. Like, and that's the thing. Like, sure, there's still some big free agents out there. Like, there's Blake Snell, Yamamoto is still out there. Like, there are
Right.
some big name pitchers, Jordan Montgomery. Like, but unless they get those guys, like the Yankees are just going to be a team that's going to hit a bunch of home runs, but like
You
lose a
can't.
lot of 10-8 games.
Yeah, get a lot of home
Yeah,
runs and base hits hit on them. Like yeah, that's
yeah.
tough, man.
And,
I
and with
love
the
the
Dodgers, like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like,
yeah, I love the text message you sent me about that when Soto got traded. You were like, "Yep, there goes their whole farm system." So it's
yeah, they
uh,
they got rid of the remaining good prospects to essentially rent Juan Soto for 1 year
yep,
and hope that they can sign him to a big contract.
yeah. I mean, that's going to be the challenge, right? And he's going to be asking for Otani like money, but that's
He's not
just
going to
to
get it.
he's going to try to grasp at the ceiling, right? Like that's what he's going to try to do, and maybe he'll end up with a little more than half of that, but it's
I think he'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of between Aaron Judge and Mike Trout money.
mhm,
I think he probably will get like 400 when it's all
mhm,
said and done.
which is
Because
still
he's also super
insane.
young too.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
also super
It's
young.
not going to be his last contract, which is going to be very crazy. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. The one thing that we didn't mention about the Otani one, and I didn't ask you about this, are there a lot of opt-outs? Because I feel like that's what they had talked
No,
about. Was he was going
there
to
are
have
no opt outs,
really?
no opt outs, and I've got to imagine there's a no trade clause as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, like, honestly, like, now that like he's only making $2 million a year, like, it could be a lot worse. Like, that's still. Sorry, I thought I had to sneeze. I
Yeah.
thought that seemed like that's going to be an easy contract to move if you have to, but they're not going to need to. So,
Yeah,
like,
and I don't ever envision LA trading him. I just don't.
no.
Like,
Can we just also talk about for a minute that the top of that line, 1 through 3, is going to be Betts, Otani, and Freeman?
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. Ah, man. That's it's I'm not looking forward to that, man. I don't think any pitchers are either.
I'm calling it now. Though I think this reeks of Otani getting hurt this year and like missing a
Ooh.
bunch of time. This just reeks of it. Like a guy with that much pressure on him. Like,
Yeah, I hope that
I don't
doesn't
know,
happen,
man.
man. I really hope
I
it
hope not
doesn't.
either. But like, that screams he's getting hurt early in the year for like 2 months.
Yeah, do they have any plans for him pitching at all? I know he's not pitching this coming
No, he's
year,
not
right?
pitching. No, he's not pitching at all this year. Got Tommy John surgery,
Yep.
but they say he will pitch in 2025 more
Okay.
than likely.
Okay. All right. So they'll
So
probably slowly ingrain him in, so.
yeah,
All right. Any other guys you wanted to mention in terms of free agency?
no, we essentially, well, the Red Sox made a weird trade. Also, the Braves have been making weird trades too.
Yeah, I
Like they've just
saw
been making
that.
like these small, like little trades that like don't really make any sense.
Getting
Like,
guys to jump up to the next ledge and like getting a few guys there and jumping up to the next ledge, it's like it's kind of interesting
yeah,
to
they're just trading like backup catchers, and it's like,
Yep.
okay, like, um, the Sox picked up Tyler O'Neill from the Cardinals, which is, how I just said we got rid of Alex Verdugo.
Yeah.
He's just a more jacked version of Alex Verdugo that's faster. That's
Awesome.
all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really it. Like, got rid of more guys than we should have for him. Had like one really good breakout year, and I think in like 2019, and like hasn't really kind of figured that out since. The dude is just yoked and really fast,
Ah.
but can't really seem to hit a baseball. So
That's a challenge then.
yeah, gonna be
Uh,
real exciting to watch them lose 85 to 90 games this year. I'm really excited for that.
uh,
So
well, listen,
yeah,
let's jump into this trivia question. Last week, you had asked the listeners about whoever the Yankee was that won the most World Series as a player,
yeah,
right?
and it was Yogi Berra with 10.
Yeah,
Yogi
10,
Berra being a Hall of Fame catcher, and the author or the inspiration for all the Yogi Berra quotes that like don't make any sense,
Yep.
but he has apparently said them all at some point, and yeah,
They're amazing. Well,
yeah.
good for that one. Why don't you go ahead and give them a new trivia question that we've got for this coming week?
Yeah, so we've been talking about like free agents and like the big contracts that are, with Otani getting $700 million.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, in the NFL, what player currently makes the most annually for in the NFL?
Wow.
Not who has the biggest overall contract, but who makes the most annually.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
And we will be back next week and definitely answer that for you guys.
yeah,
No more tripping up on trivia questions. We're pretty good on that now. So,
you got it.
but anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up, man?
Nah, man, that'll do it.
All right, man. It's a wrap. I
Yeah,
again love you, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks for rocking out another one with me.
yeah, I love you too, Willie. Stay safe as always, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace.
Peace.